For one unforgettable moment, the world's most famous tennis court seemed to freeze. 21-year-old Alexandra Eala stood on the grass of center court, trying to find the words to explain what had just happened. She opened her mouth, smiled through tears, and then stopped. No speech could fully capture the weight of that moment, because history had just changed. Not only for her, not only for Wimbledon, but for an entire nation that had spent decades waiting for a tennis player capable of breaking barriers no Filipino had ever crossed. Millions watching from around the world saw an emotional young athlete fighting back tears after the biggest victory of her career. What they didn't see was everything that had led to those tears. To understand why that moment mattered, you have to travel back years before the bright lights of center court. Long before the television cameras. Long before the ranking points. Long before the headlines. Back to a little girl in Quezon City whose world looked nothing like the glamorous stages of professional tennis. Basketball courts filled every neighborhood. Boxing heroes inspired generations. Volleyball dominated television screens. Tennis was different. It wasn't the sport children dreamed about. There were few courts, limited opportunities, and almost no Filipino stars to follow. For most families, becoming a professional tennis player seemed impossible. Yet for Alexandra Eala, impossible never sounded convincing. Every afternoon after school, she grabbed a racket and headed to the courts with her grandfather and older brother. Practice sessions were simple, sometimes exhausting, but they slowly built the foundation of a dream that seemed far bigger than the circumstances surrounding it. Her equipment wasn't glamorous. Her training environment wasn't luxurious. But her determination never depended on either. As the years passed, one reality became clear to her family. If Alexandra wanted to compete with the world's best, she would eventually have to leave home. It was a decision filled with uncertainty. Moving across the world meant leaving friends, familiar places, and everything comfortable behind. But sometimes extraordinary dreams demand extraordinary sacrifices. That decision led her to Mallorca, Spain, where she enrolled at the Rafael Nadal Academy, one of the most demanding tennis programs on the planet. Every practice became a test. Every drill pushed her beyond her limits. Every day she competed against players chasing exactly the same dream. There were no shortcuts, no guarantees, only hard work. Ironically, one of the people who would unknowingly become part of her story was already walking those same academy grounds. A multiple-time Grand Slam champion named Iga Swiatek. At Alexandra's academy graduation, Swiatek handed her diploma with a smile, congratulating another young graduate beginning her professional journey. Neither of them could have imagined that just a few years later, they would meet again under completely different circumstances. Not in a graduation ceremony, not as mentor and student, but across the net on center court at Wimbledon. And that meeting would change tennis history forever. For Alexandra Eala, the real challenge started the moment she stepped onto the practice courts at the Rafael Nadal Academy. Every player there had talent. Every player dreamed of Grand Slam glory. The difference between success and failure wasn't measured in years. It was measured in tiny details repeated every single day. Footwork, discipline, mental toughness, the willingness to improve when nobody was watching. While many teenagers spent weekends with friends, Alexandra spent hers chasing one more perfect forehand, one more accurate serve, one more hour on court. Progress came slowly, and professional tennis showed no mercy. There were victories that brought confidence. There were losses that brought doubt. And there were long stretches where the rankings barely moved despite months of relentless work. For young players, those are often the moments when dreams quietly disappear. But not hers. Instead of chasing shortcuts, Alexandra embraced the process. Every lower-level tournament became another lesson. Every defeat exposed weaknesses that could be fixed. Every win proved she belonged one step higher than before. By 2025, the tennis world began paying closer attention. The name Alexandra Eala started appearing in conversations about rising stars. Coaches admired her fearless left-handed game. Analysts noticed her willingness to attack even against higher-ranked opponents. Then came the breakthrough. At the Miami Open, One of the biggest tournaments outside the Grand Slams, she stunned one of the world's best players with fearless, aggressive tennis. It wasn't simply an upset, it was a message. She wasn't traveling the tour just to gain experience anymore.
She was there to compete.
That victory changed everything. Opponents no longer underestimated her. Tournament organizers began placing her on larger courts. Television cameras followed her matches more closely. For the first time, Alexandra Eala wasn't just representing the Philippines. She was becoming one of the most exciting young players on the entire WTA tour. The momentum continued into 2026. Week after week, her ranking climbed higher. Every tournament added valuable points. Every victory pushed her closer to territory no Filipino tennis player had ever reached. Then history arrived. When the rankings were updated, Alexandra Eala officially became the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player, male or female, in the history of the professional game. It was more than a personal achievement. It erased decades of limitations. For years, young Filipino athletes had been told that reaching the top of world tennis was unrealistic. The country lacked the infrastructure. The tradition wasn't there. The odds were simply too great. Alexandra had just proven otherwise. But if anyone believed she was satisfied, they misunderstood her completely. She wasn't chasing records. She was chasing improvement. That mindset became even more obvious when the tour shifted to grass courts. Most players viewed the grass season as short and unpredictable, a brief stop before returning to hard courts. Alexandra saw something different. She saw opportunity. Instead of merely surviving on the surface, she began thriving. Her aggressive left-handed shot stayed low, her movement became more confident, and suddenly victories against elite opponents started arriving one after another. By the time Wimbledon approached, she wasn't entering as an underdog hoping to create a surprise. She was arriving as one of the hottest players on grass. And the biggest tournament in the world was about to discover exactly how dangerous she had become. When the Wimbledon draw was finally released, one number immediately stood out. 29. That was Alexandra Eala's seed. For most tennis fans, it was just another position in the bracket. For the Philippines, it represented something far greater. Never before had a Filipina been seeded at a Grand Slam. Years of sacrifice, thousands of practice sessions, and countless miles traveled had all led to this moment. She wasn't arriving in London as an unknown qualifier anymore. She had earned her place among the tournament's top contenders. Still, Wimbledon has a way of ignoring rankings. Grass rewards confidence, but punishes hesitation. One bad afternoon can erase months of preparation. Alexandra understood that better than anyone. Her Wimbledon campaign began with quiet determination rather than overwhelming expectations. Against Mexico's Renata Zarazua, she played with remarkable composure, attacking from the first point and refusing to let nerves dictate the match. When the final ball landed out, history had already been made. She became the first Filipino, man or woman, to win a Wimbledon main draw singles match. The celebration was emotional, but brief. There was still work to do. In the second round, another challenge awaited. Australia's Maya Joint struck first, taking the opening set and threatening to end Alexandra's dream before it truly began. Many young players would have panicked. Alexandra didn't. She slowed the match down, trusted her aggressive left-handed game, and gradually turned the momentum in her favor. Point by point, game by game, she fought her way back. By the end of the afternoon, she had completed another remarkable comeback. For the first time in history, a Filipino player had reached the third round at Wimbledon. But the tennis world still wasn't prepared for what was coming next. Waiting on center court was the defending champion, a multiple-time Grand Slam winner, one of the sport's most dominant forces, Iga Swiatek. The matchup seemed almost unbelievable. Just a few years earlier, Swiatek had congratulated Alexandra during her graduation ceremony at the Rafael Nadal Academy. Now they stood on opposite sides of the net, competing for a place in Wimbledon history. From the opening game, Alexandra played without fear. She attacked second serves. She redirected pace with incredible precision. Most importantly, She refused to be intimidated by her opponent's reputation. The opening set became an instant classic. Every rally carried enormous tension. Every point felt like it could decide the match. When Alexandra finally captured the dramatic tiebreak, center court sensed that something extraordinary was unfolding. The defending champion suddenly looked vulnerable. Alexandra sensed it too. She raised her level even higher. Her confidence grew with every winner, every hold of serve, every roar from the crowd. Then came the final point. Silence. One last swing. The ball landed safely inside the baseline.
Game. Set. Match.
Center court exploded. The defending champion had fallen. A 21-year-old Filipina had produced one of the biggest upsets Wimbledon had witnessed in years. As the applause echoed through the stadium, Alexandra tried to answer the interviewers' questions. She smiled. She looked toward her team. Then the emotions overwhelmed her. Tears filled her eyes before she could finish her sentence. It wasn't simply because she had won a tennis match. It was because every sacrifice, every lonely training session, every difficult decision her family had made suddenly felt worth it. In that unforgettable moment, Alexandra Eala wasn't just celebrating the biggest victory of her career. She was carrying an entire nation with her. And her Wimbledon story was far from over.